is Kendra. I want to talk about part of my testimony. I don't think I have the emotional capacity to get into all of it right now, but who knows, we'll see. I don't really have much of a plan. I know generally, but I'm just going through some stuff right now and I need to be reminded of all of these things. So I'm going to share with you to remind myself and to encourage you that no matter what, God is working for you. So if you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I fell away from God almost 4 years ago. In the last year or so, I have been struggling to get back and struggling because of my own stubbornness and refusal to let go of certain things, but I'm getting there. Yeah, it's like I'm climbing a mountain and I keep seeing these obstacles ahead and still tripping on them and falling back down a little bit. But in the last month, God has been doing some amazing things in my life, and I know in regards to relationship with God, we'll never reach the peak, but we should just keep striving for more and more, a deeper relationship with Him, and we'll never reach the peak until we reach the peak. We'll never reach the peak until we get to heaven and be with Him. So I'm not saying like, oh, I'm near the top. I am not at all. But I just, this time feels different because I'm finally like done. I'm done playing games. I'm done holding on to things that God's like, I'm asking you to let go of this so we can move on and stuff like that. So anyway, 4 years ago, I got in a bad relationship. He wasn't a believer, and to be honest, I don't know how it happened, but I very, very quickly completely gave in to everything. His lifestyle, everything. It's a little bit confusing to me, to be completely honest, because I'm like, how did this, looking back, I'm still just, I don't know how I could do it so easily and so borderline shamelessly. So I fell away. This person was not a malicious person. I don't want to paint them out to be the bad or a bad guy. Just the whole thing was bad. There was a lot of bad things that were going on. Very, very ugly breakup. I had actually moved in with him, and so we had a lease to break. We had moving out to deal with, and all of that was the easy part of the breakup. The hardest part was us. I truly did love him, so it was hard to break up with him, but I knew I had to, and to be honest, he didn't make it easy to leave. It was an ugly breakup. So that was at the beginning of 2019. I was in a very bad place mentally. I had struggled with depression before in high school. This was the year after high school, but this was dark. And I remember even while I was with him, just being so sad all the time. And I didn't want to kill myself, but I didn't care if I died. I remember one day I was driving on the highway and I had my cruise control set, and I just pulled my legs up in the seat and crossed them, knowing that if I had to press on my brakes, I wouldn't be able to. I was just at that point where I was just done. I was ready to leave. Whenever I am going through things like that, I like to write poems. And I haven't written in a long time, which is like, I do miss writing, but at the same time, it's like, all of these were born out of very dark and sad places. So it's kind of a good thing that I've not had to write anything in a long time. But I've got like all of the poems that I've written in different files according to the year that I wrote them. And if I go back and look at it, you can see the story. Like, just through the emotions that are conveyed in the poems, you can see the story of the year that happened. So in the 2019 file, the first half of it is just, to be honest, this is the one that I don't like going back and reading because it is just so sad. One of them that I wrote is called Finding Me. I lost myself trying to please you. There is nothing more crushing than that. I struggle to find that girl who trusted every soul. I struggle to find that girl who did everything right. I struggle to find that girl who didn't live in fear. I struggle and I can't seem to find her. And another one is called Naive. When I was young, I was naive. How I miss looking at rays of light and seeing angels. How I miss looking at rivers and seeing floods of life and love. How I miss seeing hope in the eyes of another person. This world destroys that. And there's countless other ones that I could read off to you that are just, honestly, the ones that I read are more on the vanilla side of the darkness. And I remember getting to a point on April 18th of that year where I didn't, so I watched the movie about the Columbine shooting. I can't remember what the movie was called, but in that movie, the girl, I think she was kind of struggling with depression, and it narrates her journal throughout the movie. And she said at one point that she can't see her future. She can't see what's coming, and she feels like it's all about to end. It may have just been for dramatic purposes for the movie, but I'm pretty sure it was her journal. And I don't know why, but the enemy used that in my life. At this point in 2019, April 18th, I was just so unbelievably done. I didn't see my purpose. I didn't see a reason for everything that I had been through happening. I remember one night just being so, I couldn't figure out what was wrong, but something was wrong. And I got in my car and went for a drive, and I knew that I needed to just cry and let it out. And ever since everything that I went through, for some reason, it doesn't seem like it right now because I'm crying, but when something is seriously wrong, my response has changed. And I am an emotional person, and now it's like I struggle to hold back laughter. And I know it's just a defense mechanism, but sometimes I have to make myself cry, because otherwise I won't feel better until I do. And so this was one of those times, and I was in my car and I started listening to some sad music and I just started sobbing and yelling at God and just saying, like, there was no purpose in anything that I went through. Nothing that happened in 2018, nothing good can come of it. And now in 2021, I know that that's not true. I have seen good come of it in my life and others' lives. But I remember praying, like, why didn't you stop that? Why didn't this not happen? And on April 18th, I was convinced that I was going to die. Not by suicide, but I was convinced that my life was going to end because I didn't see past where I was. I wrote letters to the people that I loved, saying goodbye to them. That's how sad I was. That's how sure I was that there was no point in me being here anymore. I had recently deleted them, just because of how depressing it was. So while all of this is happening, everything in 2018 that happened, and all of the dark times that I went through after everything happened, during all of that, I was working at a lab, and it is in the middle of everything that it was kind of my safe place. It was where I could go, where I worked by myself a lot, but I also had people there that I didn't have to talk about all of this stuff with. Like, I developed very good friendships with them, but it wasn't like being at home where your mom's asking you, are you okay? When you're clearly not. So I could just go there and just exist no matter what was happening. And not long after I wrote these letters in May, so I wrote the letters on April 18th. In May, and I think it was like May 2nd, so it was not long after at all. My boss came in and he handed me this paper. It is a scientific publication of the research that I was helping him with. And I was looking at this paper when he handed it to me. I'm gonna get emotional again, but it's happy tears. Right there is my name on the authors list. And I just remember looking at this and looking at my name and just I felt all the sadness kind of break in that moment. And that's not to say that there wasn't sadness afterwards, there was, but it was a ray of light. And I don't know how, I can't, like, I just stared at it. And I remember I was talking to somebody and I said, it's a shame that I'm not going into this because this is awesome. This is so cool. And he was like, why aren't you going into it? Like, I had been working at this lab for 2 years. I had now publications. I was getting ready to graduate with my associates, which means I could have went right into my bachelor's on this topic, which is insects. Or agriculture, technically. And that's really when my love for insects was born. That's when God revealed his passion to me whenever I still was not living right at all. And he has used this passion and this job that I have so amazingly, even whenever I had my back completely turned on him. Shortly after this, about probably 2 or 3 months later, I got with another bad boyfriend. Once you get in that cycle of abusive relationships, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, it's hard to get out of that cycle. I don't understand the psychology behind it, but your brain kind of, I'm not even gonna say because I don't understand it. But I got with another bad boyfriend, and he wanted us to get married and move out of state. And I just remember feeling in my heart, if I go with you, I'm not gonna get to do what I want to do with my life. I'm not gonna get my master's and PhD in entomology and become a research scientist. I just felt it. And I didn't want to leave where I was at. I didn't want to leave the lab or the school that I was at. And that's what, it's a little frustrating because I'm like, Kendra, so many more, like, there were much more pressing matters that should have made you stay. Like, some of the mental things that he was doing to you should have made you break it off. But God used my passion to save me time and time again. And the reason why I feel like I need to be reminded of this right now is because I am currently applying for PhDs, and boy, do I feel inadequate. I don't feel like I have a chance, but I know there's a reason for this. There is a reason why God has used this time and time again in my life, and why he has instilled this passion in me for insects and for all of the amazing things that I love about it. And he's gonna help me all along the way, just like he has from the beginning. And I am so excited to see what he does in my life and see where I go and how these passions will be turned into his plans. So there's a lot of things to glean from this, but I would say the biggest point is, no matter how dark it feels, he's watching you. He's taking care of you even when you don't see it. And hindsight is 20/20. Oftentimes you don't see it until you are out of it and you look back on it. There's so many things, even still, I'm replaying things in my mind. I'm like, oh, that's why that happened. And I hope this is encouraging to somebody, because even though I cried through the whole thing, I feel so good right now. I don't know how to, I'm so bad at ending these. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share, comment, do whatever, I don't care. I just hope that it touched somebody. I feel ready. I'll say that. I feel ready. So make good choices out there. See you next time.